Your ancestor got drunk by accident. Then he built a civilization. 10,000 years ago, a human being ate something rotten, felt something no human had ever felt before, and, by accident, set off the chain of events. That gave you cities, laws, writing, and civilization itself. This isn't a myth. This isn't exaggeration. Some archaeologists now believe humanity didn't build farms to make bread. We built farms to make beer. Let that sink in. Everything you think you know about why civilization started. Feeding growing populations, securing food supply, rational planning might be wrong. The real story might be messier, stranger, and far more human. Our ancestors got a taste of something that made them feel incredible, and they were willing to change their entire way of life to get more of it. So how does a rotting pile of grain turn into the foundation of human society? And why were we, out of every species on this planet, the ones who couldn't resist it? Here's what actually happened, stripped of myth. Yeast is everywhere. It lives on fruit skins, in the husks of wild grain, floating invisibly in the air around us. Its entire biological function is simple: eat sugar, produce alcohol and carbon dioxide as waste. That's the whole trick nature has been playing on us for millions of years. Now picture a hunter-gatherer camp near Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey, sometime before 9600 BCE. Wild grain gets stored in a rock hollow or a woven basket. Rain falls. The grain sits, soaking, warming in the sun for days. Wild yeast spores, already present on the grain, start feeding on the sugars. Within days, the pile isn't grain anymore. It's a bubbling, sour, faintly alcoholic mush. To any hunter-gatherer, that should look like spoiled food, a warning sign. Don't eat it. Someone did anyway, maybe out of hunger, maybe curiosity. And what they felt next had never been felt by a human being on purpose before. Pain dulling, inhibitions loosening, a warm rush of something close to joy. They didn't understand fermentation. They didn't understand yeast, sugar, or ethanol. All they knew was this: that spoiled liquid made them feel something extraordinary. And the moment that feeling ended, they wanted it back. Here's where the story stops being quaint and starts rewriting everything you were taught in school. For decades, the standard explanation for the invention of agriculture was simple. Humans got smart, realized farming was more efficient than hunting, and settled down to grow food. Clean, logical, rational. But there's a problem with that story. Wild grain is a nightmare to eat as food. It's tough, low in nutrition per effort, and requires enormous processing just to become crude, flat bread. If early humans were optimizing for calories and effort, grain is a terrible first choice. Wild fruit, nuts, and hunted meat are all far easier wins. So why would anyone go through the brutal, multi-generational effort of domesticating wild grain? Decades of trial and error, selective breeding, building tools just to process it, for bread that barely justifies the labor? This is where the beer before bread hypothesis comes in, a genuinely contested but evidence-backed theory. Residue analysis on 13,000-year-old stone mortars in Israel shows early humans were brewing grain into a beer-like beverage. Before there's solid evidence they were baking bread from it at all. Beer doesn't have the same problem bread does. Soak grain, let wild yeast do its work, and within days you have something that gets you intoxicated with a fraction of the processing effort bread requires. If the real prize wasn't the bread, it was the buzz. Suddenly, the brutal, multi-generational effort of domesticating wild grain makes a lot more sense. You don't work that hard for bread. You might work that hard to keep the beer coming. And once you accept that possibility, the dominoes start falling. You can't brew on the move. Fermentation takes time, and grain needs tending. So nomadic groups start staying in one place. Permanent settlements need someone managing the fields, someone guarding the harvest, someone distributing the beer fairly. That's the birth of specialized roles. Someone needs to track who contributed grain and who's owed a share. Some of the earliest written symbols in Sumer, thousands of years later, are literally beer rations recorded on clay tablets. Pottery gets invented, in part, to store the brew. Trade networks form to move surplus grain and beer between settlements. Religious rituals develop around shared drinking, binding strangers into communities. Hierarchy emerges because managing a beer supply for hundreds of people requires someone in charge. Government, writing, storage, trade, religion, social structure, all of it plausibly connects back, at least in part, to humans chasing a feeling they first got by accident, From a pile of grain nobody meant to ferment, that accidental discovery never stopped shaping us. Alcohol today is a trillion-dollar global industry. It's baked into religious ceremony, national economies, social ritual, and personal identity all over the world, nearly every culture on Earth independently discovered fermentation and built customs around it. But strip away the beer and the wine and the whiskey, and what's left is a much bigger idea. Some of the most important turning points in human history weren't planned. They were accidents that we refused to let go of. Penicillin was a mold contaminating a petri dish. X-rays were a mistake in a physics lab. Civilization itself may have started because someone couldn't stop thinking about a strange feeling from a rotten pile of grain. So here's the real question this leaves you with. If the foundation of human civilization was an accident, nobody planned and everybody chased, what accident is happening right now in a lab, a kitchen, a backyard somewhere on Earth that will look just as obvious in hindsight as beer does today? As we look back at the vast, busy world we have built, we realize that our deepest journeys often return to the simplest roots, because every accident is a beginning.